What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Digital Drops, basically giving you free digital information, tips, tools, and resources to help you out in your business. In today's episode, we have a very special guest. I got Mike Killen from all the way in the UK with his business Sell Your Service, and he's coming to talk to you today about the biggest question that I always get. How much does a website cost? How much should I be paying for one? And how do I know if this is the right move for me right now? He's coming to talk to you about that today. Stay tuned. Okay, welcome, Mike.
Hey there.
I'm going to read your bio real quick. So Mike Killen works with marketing funnel businesses to help them attract and close five-figure projects. He wants to get sales training into the hands of every child and school in the world because confident salespeople make better decisions. He's the author of the book, From Single to Scale, How a Single Person, Small Business, or an Entrepreneur Can Grow Their Business to Profit. And he also runs Sell Your Service, which is a marketing funnel building company based in the UK. Mike is also, he also happens to be an elite, well-respected member of a WordPress business consultants group of masterminds called WP Elevation, which I am also a part of. Mike, it is an honor and a privilege to have you here. What is up?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Yeah, I'm glad I could make it. I was looking forward to it. So yeah, I'm glad to be here, dude. It sounds like you rehearsed that. I'm very impressed.
I know, right? It has to sound good, man. You gotta make you sound good. But let's talk a bit about your story. Let's talk about how did you get to where you're at today, so that people who don't know would know more about you.
Yeah, sure. I worked for a big corporate American data company. Kind of did the classic university route, studied marketing. You know, I did door-to-door sales for a long time, and bit by bit ended up becoming the head of digital marketing for the UK and Nordics for a data security company. And overnight, I lost my job. I lost my team. You know, I lost the company car, lost the credit card, hadn't saved any money. I lost my house. Everything just kind of disappeared within the space of about 24 hours, which was very difficult, obviously. And I didn't handle it particularly well. So I went away to Las Vegas for a few days with my brothers. That's how I processed that shock. And then when I came back, I started up a little kind of just digital marketing agency. Truth be told, I didn't really know what I wanted to do.
Well, do any of us do?
Right. You're absolutely right. It's a really good point. And that kind of, you know, that's kind of why I ended up setting up Sell Your Service, because my agency was this tiny little 3-4 person agency. We had a lot of outsourced staff, and we ended up growing really quickly. It's because we tried to do SEO and graphic design and branding and websites and social media. We tried to do everything. In the end, I said, all we're going to do is we're going to put opt-in forms at the bottom of blog posts using Opt-in Monster, which is one of my favorite tools at the time. This was 2013, 2014, around then. I said, that's all we're going to do. And that ended up making us way more money and attracting way more clients, because we were really specific about what it is that we could go after and what we ended up providing for customers. And we then sold that business, and I thought, well, what do I want to do now? So I set up Sell Your Service, which, like you said, kind of the main goal is to end up getting sales training into the hands of schools and children. But where the majority of our revenue comes from now is helping marketing agencies attract and land 5- and 6-figure deals. You know, we do that with like courses and coaching and stuff. So yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell.
So is it safe to say you're in your prime, you're in your passion, where you exactly want to be right now, or where you imagined yourself being?
That's a great question. No one has ever asked me that before. That is a fantastic question. Yeah, do you know, it's funny because a lot of the time people talk about like motivation. How do you stay motivated? You know, some people prefer waking up early or going to bed late and just kind of smashing out their job. And I don't think it's got anything to do with how you work. I think it's entirely to do with where you're based.
Yeah.
And I love, like, I'm not invited to dinner parties or drinks anymore because I just want to talk about sales and marketing funnels. Like, that's all I want to talk about. So you're absolutely right. This is a good place for me to talk, and I enjoy talking about it. So yeah, absolutely. This is what I would do if I wasn't being paid. I would still do this.
Man, that's fantastic to hear. That's the place that I think a lot of agency owners want to get to. You're there.
Yeah, and it's funny, like I said, no one's asked me that question before. I think it's a very powerful question. I think part of the reason as well is a lot of people are very scared. We just did this exercise with my coaching clients like 45 minutes ago, where we said, well, what part of the process do you love working on? And some of them, it was like Facebook Messenger. Some of them love doing cold traffic for blog posts. Some of them love doing creating digital sprinter products or courses. And I think a lot of people think, well, if you enjoy that and you really get a buzz from it, you get a kick from it, everyone else is going to say you should go after that. But internally we go, yeah, but I enjoy that, so surely everyone enjoys that, and surely that's an easy path. But no, that's what you should be going after, is the thing that you want to learn more about. You're fascinated by it. You seem to click with it. We're all nerds kind of deep down when we look at some of this stuff. So you might as well embrace the thing that you really love doing, like I did with kind of blog post opt-in forms. And that to me is a far faster way to grow your influence and your income. So yeah, you're absolutely right. I think it's a great thing to go after.
Yeah, man, 100%. I'm with you there. Let's crack open your head for a bit, right? I watched literally every one of your videos. I think you post probably about once to twice a week. You're very consistent.
Yeah, it's try to do 2 a week plus a podcast. That tries to be what our schedule is. Yeah.
All right, man. So like I said, let's crack open your head a bit. So talk a little bit about, I know you came from the digital world and you're now more into the marketing funnel side of things. So let's talk a bit about the website and digital marketing space in the UK, right? So specifically this, from a business standpoint, what's the typical response to the website industry and its necessity in today's world? I'll get really more specific. Is it, we have a thriving Facebook and Instagram page with tons of engagement, so we're good? Or is it, no, we must have 100% must have an engaging website, even for mom and pop stores?
Man, you are nailing these questions. This is good stuff. You should be writing up these questions and sending them out to other interviewers, because this is good. So
hey,
just to make sure that I understand, we've got a business, and we sell t-shirts. We've got a killer Instagram following. Do I still need a website? No matter what it is that I'm doing, do I still need a website? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the short answer is yes. Fundamentally, yes. Absolutely, no question about it. The difficult part comes when people go, well, why? Instagram is free to set up. Your Facebook group is free to set up. Your page is free to set up. All of this stuff is free. YouTube is free to set up. Even if you go down the free route of a website, it's still going to cost you with hosting and when you just buy the theme, and let's say you properly bootstrapped it and you did it yourself for like $500, chances are that that's going to be really off-putting to you. The fundamental problem with all of these platforms is that if your revenue is derived from a third-party platform, and which I mean a platform that you don't own, for example, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, wherever, your revenue is entirely in the hands of somebody else, basically.
100%.
It's the same reason why I say that no matter even huge YouTube guys, like, some of the biggest guys on the planet, they still need to have an email address list. They still need to have a database of email subscribers, because at absolute worst, and YouTube has had its second adpocalypse in the last calendar year, just recently. People are seeing their advertising accounts get, the money from advertising go down. Not that advertising is really where most people make their money on YouTube, but there's a lot of changes to other platforms that you are never in control of. But let's say that all shuts down and you've got your own website and you've got your own email list. I could still manually email people via my Gmail account and say, hey man, it's the end of the world. All of these services have shut down. I still think we should have a conversation, and you can still buy products from me and buy services from me. Your website is what you own. Serious businesses that want to be protected against all the changes, because for all you know, although Facebook owns Instagram could be bought out, or a rival or a competitor could come over and boom, all of your traffic and followers, they all move over to another channel. And that's going to happen more and more and more as time goes on.
Yep.
The site, however, is something you're in control of. I can drive traffic back to my site and have people look around there. I completely agree that a lot of these social channels have meant that, we're giving big businesses a real run for their money. The 3Ms of the world, the Fords of the world, GM, IBM, all of these companies are trying to catch up with kids who have set up Instagram accounts and Snapchat accounts and TikTok and YouTube. The problem, though, is that at some point, those platforms are going to go through changes. I don't think they're going to go away, but without a website that's yours, you're pretty much just hoping and banking that those platforms aren't going to change their policies in the future. And that, to me, is very dangerous.
I mean, the prime example is just yesterday, the Facebook apocalypse that everybody went through.
Yeah.
So that's it right there, man. So listen, the past couple episodes, the last episode, we had Johnny Flash on here, right?
Oh, awesome. How is he?
Basically been talking about, he was great. Johnny was, he was really, really great. Like I sat back and I was asking questions, but at the same time I was like learning, like, man, you're good.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I like John. Yeah.
This whole thing is basically talking about building smart goals, right? When it comes down to before you build your website, etc. And it's basically around educating clients, the kind of mindset that they need to be in before they get to that process. So this one specifically, we're going to talk about for a bit. We're going to talk about pricing, or we're going to talk about funnels and how those come together. Awesome. We both know a lot goes into building a website, but how much, this is the big question, right? Everyone wants to know, how much did it actually cost? So what do you do, or what did you do back in your digital businesses to help nurture clients to understand that a website is an investment in their business? And how do you put a price tag on that?
Yeah, so again, just to make sure I'm clear on that, as a digital business that builds websites, whatever I might call myself, how do I justify my price, and how do I make sure that customers are happy to pay 10, 25 grand plus,
Yeah, how do you nurture them into understanding that this is an investment, treat it as an investment?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's a lot to do with, first of all, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And one of the biggest changes I made was I stopped trying to convince every customer that my websites are worth $25,000. I decided, we just did some simple maths. I literally said, okay, well, we're gonna charge 25 grand, because if I work with just 4 customers a year, that's $100,000 through the business. That's a nice simple number for me to work towards. I'd rather find one 25 grand customer than try to find 10 $10,000 customers, or $25,000 customers. I just want 4 customers a year. It means we can knock it out of the park. We can work closely with them. The difference was me going, okay, well, how do I justify $25,000? So what are the things that I'm going to deliver? And I started working out that, okay, 25 grand is going to get you a weekly call for about 3 months, talk through the process and coach you through that process. We're going to do all the stuff that everyone talks about, building out, your blog pages, your about pages, your squeeze pages, your sales pages, all that kind of stuff. We wrote out what we were going to deliver for 25 grand. Rather, a lot of people will write out, well, I want to do all of this stuff. I want to build websites and then think, well, how much could I charge for that? I think that's wrong. I think you have to flip that and decide the price first. And from that, what that meant is customers who said, I say customers, prospects or leads who said, well, we've only got 5 grand. They're not right for me. I'm not right for them. That's the first and easiest way. I was like, we'll be able to work together. I've got a book that's like $20. You could buy that, different kind of levels of product. But at the time, obviously I didn't. So it was being clear that I knew that I had to charge 25 grand. I had staff, I had bills, I had rent, we had overheads. We wanted to make sure that we had enough to pay the tax on it, which in the UK was roughly 15, 20%, So that was the first part. The second part is you still need to, obviously, even if a customer has 25 grand or 30 grand or whatever, you still need to make sure that they understand that it is investment with you. A lot of the time they'll know that a website should be delivering them some kind of return, but I'm still staggered at the amount of customers that we work with today who have kind of gone through the process. They've paid 5 figures, and some of them are paying, 5 figures a month just to keep everything going. But they're still not entirely sure what they're getting out of it. And the way that we've kind of looked at this with customers is we've said, okay, well, what's your revenue at the moment? Whatever you are. And they might be at $100,000 a year, they might be at $1 million a year, 10 million, doesn't matter. And I go, okay, what's the next stage? Like, what do you want to get to? And for some of them, again, it's like 100 grand to 200 grand, which is doubling their business. Some of them, it's getting from $1 million to 1.1 million, which is only adding $100,000. The more we talk through those numbers, the more it firms up in their mind what would be a sensible price to pay for that growth. Because some of them are going, yeah, I want $100,000. And I go, great. Well, that's doubling the size of your business. 100 grand to, let's say, $250,000. So another 150. So that's over double. Do you think that's fair to pay $25,000 to reach or to work towards that goal?
And that's the question. That's the question right there.
And they have to be able to answer that. They have to be able to, because a lot of them will say, yeah, actually, if anything, 25 grand doesn't sound like enough to get there. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. If I could turn 25 grand into 150,000 within the space of a year, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I'd be on Necker Island somewhere, like with a private jet. Like, your bank, like the world's best hedge fund managers and active managed funds, will maybe get you 10, 11% return on whatever you've got in their account per year. Like, I can't turn 25 grand necessarily into $150,000 within the space of a year. It probably would happen at some point, but there needs to be further investment behind that. We need to be investing in traffic and content and your products and your sales team and your closing, which is why we focus very heavily on the sales side to start with. I personally, in our agency, we don't really worry about traffic. We don't sell traffic. We don't provide traffic. I want to look at, well, if you're already on $1 million a year and you want to get to 1.5 million, so 500,000, we then kind of do that same pricing question with them. And they'll say, yeah, well, 500 grand, that will take us maybe, I don't know, 500 customers buying $1,000 products. I'm like, okay, well, do you have 500 potential customers we could go out to? We treat the website more like a campaign than just building a site and hope that people are going to buy through it. I want to know that they've got leads and subscribers and customers, and they've got the tinder and the fuel there ready to go. So that's how you justify. It's bizarre. The more you qualify your customers, the less you have to justify your price. It's a bizarre kind of phenomenon, you know?
I swear, whenever you get in front of a screen, you talk gold, right?
That's very kind of you to say, because a lot of people would say I talk something else, but that's very
No, listen, you knocked out about 3 more of my questions in one question, so that's good.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to go over them again, man. But yeah, it's funny as well. Like, part of this is from experience. You mentioned you're part of WP Elevation. Troy was a huge influence on me and my business. Like, the first ever, he ran a Thailand mastermind, I don't know, 2014. You'd have to ask, like, I can't even remember when it was. And I like maxed out my credit cards. I borrowed money. I was like, I just need to get out there to spend 2 days with this guy. And it completely revolutionized my business because he helped me think and see things in a very different way. And the network and, you know, part of WP Elevation, this is what they're about, right? Like, you know, value what it is that you're worth.
Yeah, this is one of the sickest groups on the planet, man.
Yeah, it's mad, right? And we try to constantly say, you know, with our guys, like sell your service, just because everyone else has told you that's too expensive, that's not on you, that's them. Like, you know, that's their problem. No one has ever bought a house and thought, yeah, I'm getting a really good deal here. If anything, I hope it costs more. Like, cost is just something that people complain about anyway. So don't use that to lower your prices. Just think about ways of being able to justify what you want to earn compared to lowering it to meet other people's expectations. It's a funny mindset thing, but that's what it is. Ultimately comes down to.
Oh, most definitely. Let's pivot. Let's pivot to funnels for a second, right? You specialize in building sales and marketing funnels. Explain to the audience, what is a funnel?
A funnel, very basically, is taking a bunch of people that have no idea that you exist, and through email marketing, the website, social media, all these kind of tactics and tools, we just want to turn them into happy, profitable, repeat customers that refer us to their friends. That's all we're trying to do. Some people can do all of that with Instagram, Some businesses need to have a website and a sales team and a telephone marketing team and email campaigns and advertising and remarketing. The tools and the tactics are irrelevant. All we're trying to do is take people that don't know that we exist and turn them into happy, profitable, repeat customers that refer us.
So what would you say is the benefit and overall value of one, a website, two, a website funnel, and also why should business owners be thinking about this more before they build a website? Why should they be thinking about the funnel more than the website itself?
Yeah, again, good question. So the website is a part of the funnel, and a funnel that works and generates you leads while you sleep. Like every day you wake up, you've got more leads in your inbox. Whatever business, whatever industry, whatever product, whatever service, whatever you do, you could wake up every single day with more qualified leads in your inbox, okay, while you sleep. And then knowing that those leads are going to be sold to and nurtured, and they're going to have offers made to them, and they convert into customers, again, on automation. Sometimes not entirely on automation, but we try to make that on automation. A website will do part of that. Your website might be the part that attracts people from, well, we don't know that they exist, and now they're a lead, right? Now they're a subscriber or a lead or an email subscriber or whatever. Some people do that with YouTube. People who don't know that they exist become a YouTube subscriber. A funnel is really just a website that's doing its job properly. We've all seen kind of the corporate websites that are, www.corporate.com, and it's got a page like About Us, Get in Contact, Services, and people call them brochure websites. They don't convert well, they don't generate sales, they don't generate leads, they're typically pretty dull, no one's really searching for them. And yet on the other side, I know guys who have pretty much set up, and he just writes blog content all day, every day. That's what he does. He just promotes a lot of blog content, and he's making 6, 7 figures a year comfortably.
Wow.
Because he basically knows that he's attracting a particular audience. The website is one part of this process. And if you want to start growing your business, if you're serious about growing the number of leads that you attract, if you're serious about converting the number of leads you've got into sales, if you're worried about, your sales are dropping off and you don't know why, chances are a well put together funnel, that process of converting people into a happy, repeat, profitable customer, that's what's going to help your business. And a website is one part of it. It can be a big part of it. But there's also email marketing, social media. It's the way that you tie all of these things together to basically result in sales and revenue for your business.
So what would you say is the smallest amount you did for a website or funnel? Mm-hmm. And what is the biggest, and what was the main difference between the two?
Okay, so the smallest change, the smallest thing we've done to
like I'd say the smallest you've charged for a website or a funnel, right? And the largest you've charged, and what was the main difference between the two?
That's a good question. So the smallest I've charged was probably way before I was doing this properly, and it was probably in the region of, I don't know, $2,000. Like it was crazy undervalued. I hadn't priced myself properly. I was still very anxious. I didn't think I had the experience. The irony is that funnel actually didn't result in any sales, and I'll explain why in a bit. That was $2,000 wasted, which now is such a small amount of money. Relatively speaking, $2,000 is not a huge amount of money. It was essentially wasted by that business because it didn't result in anything. And that was a website and setting up their blog. And I think we set up their MailChimp and their email and stuff like this. Again, it was a while back. The reason it didn't work is because the business owner clearly didn't want to invest a lot of money. So therefore, they didn't also invest in the business. They never created any more blog content. They never used MailChimp to email their email list. They never tried to grow their email list. A while back, one of my coaches and mentors, he said to me that a $10,000 website will do wonders for a business that is willing to invest $10,000 and is going to make a lot out of it, compared to someone who isn't really interested in investing $10,000. In the same way that people have gym memberships someone who spends $150 a month on a gym and goes every single day, and they have their rest periods, and they're making gains, and they're increasing their PB, they get a huge amount out of it compared to someone who only spends $30 a month but hardly ever goes to the gym. That's the difference. It's not the budgetary amount, it's how much are they then willing to put behind that money and invest with.
The perfect illustration.
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah, it is quite good. Like with the gym, especially, because my gym is considered expensive, but we go so often that I get a huge amount out of it. So on the other side, the most expensive one was probably 25 grand a month, which is still going on now. It was for a customer that had a lot of I forget what we call them in the UK, like timeshares. Yeah, timeshares. And the difference with that is, first of all, they had customers, they had sales, they had leads, they had traffic, they had a fire already. I was pouring more gasoline on the fire is what I was doing, and they wanted to go behind it. And 25 grand meant that they also had budget for content creators and writers. A lot of that was, and that was not including the traffic, that was just the management and the setup costs, hosting as well. There was a huge infrastructure change. And what we actually did, it was interesting. The 2 grand funnel, like the cheap one, I was trying to do everything. Like I said, like at the start, my agency tried to do their logo and their website and their MailChimp and their email templates. And I thought I did a good job, especially for the money. The 25 grand side, all we were doing per month to start with, they had a website, it wasn't that great, but it was functional, was we were emailing their current customers to remind them of the offer that they had available. We were selling to their current customers and their current leads. We'd create email campaigns and remarketing campaigns just selling to their current customers, which particularly for that industry as well was making way more than 25 grand a month back for them. Like one sale would be kind of like in the region of 50 to 70 grand. So nice. we were just generating those sales, those referrals from what they already had. So it was funny. We actually technically did a lot less with the bigger budget customers. We actually really focused our efforts and only ran 2 or 3 campaigns. But with the smaller guys, we were trying to do everything, but they ended up not getting anything out of it, perhaps because they didn't have enough to start with.
Because it probably enables you to have more resources to really specifically focus on what the goal is, versus if you have this tiny, really small amount and you got to do all this kind of stuff with it. You can't spread that amongst your team. You can't spread that amongst your resources properly. So in the end, you end up delivering a subpar product.
Yep, you're absolutely right. It's about, what do they have to start with? We often say that you can build funnels for, or have a funnel built for absolutely anyone, like anyone in the world would benefit from your advice. I'm 100% sure of that. But the reality is not everyone is going to benefit. You can work with anyone, but you can't work with everyone. And some people are going to benefit more. My partner, she's a running specialist sports therapist. I've got to find a more snappy title for that. So she works with a lot of Team GB people. She can help someone who's at that level of running shave a minute off their PB for a marathon, or 10 minutes, right? She could do that. But someone who's just learning to run their first 5K or 10K, she can't make those kind of gains with that person because they just don't have it yet. Like, she has to be specific about who she works with. So, going after those types of customers, in my opinion, makes a lot more sense.
So coming down to as the last kind of questions a little bit, why do you think people think websites should cost $500?
Yeah. So the reason I believe that people think websites should cost $500 is because they're not serious about their business. Basically, it's as simple as that.
That's it,
right? It comes down to, are you confident enough in your business to spend 10 grand on a networking event? Now, logic dictates that if you pay 10 grand just for this networking event, other people have had to pay 10 grand as well. Chances are that everyone there has had at least 10 grand to spare on the networking event. I'm confident enough in my business to know that I would love to meet people who also spend 10 grand on their networking. A lot of businesses, no matter how lucky or specific or well they're doing, don't value their own business enough to think, well, I have to spend money to continue this growth. We kind of talk about got to spend money to make money, which entirely believe, but it's a good way of looking at that. So businesses that think, well, I want to buy a website because apparently I'm supposed to have one and everyone else has one. My nephew says you can build one for $500, so I'm going to go work with him. But the reality is, if you actually were serious about your business and you were confident that you were already making sales and you already had enough revenue, then yeah, spend 50 grand. Like, if the ROI is going to be there, the amount doesn't matter. So it really comes down to the type of customer, not us as website builders and digital creatives. It's not on us. It's the same. Like, why would someone spend more than $30,000 on a car? Like, there must be something behind that more than just, well, it's 4 wheels and it helps me from get to A to B. There's reasons behind why people want to spend more, and most of the time it's because they just don't value it. There's nothing you can do about that. Move on, try to sell to the next person. Like, that person's not going to buy. Don't worry about it.
Straightforward advice. That's it right there. Golden tip, right? The last golden tip. If you could tell business owners out there who think that they can't afford websites, they can't afford funnels, they know they need it badly, but they can't afford it or think that they can't, what do you recommend that they do?
Yeah, so my advice is a lot of people think that spending money will help them make money, and that's usually not the case. Unfortunately, our industry is very good at confusing return-based activities with being creative. We could spend thousands of dollars on branding, the logo, adverts, creatives, the fonts, getting the right color schemes, beautiful banners, all that kind of stuff. None of that will be replaced and will make any money unless someone picks up the phone or sends a sales email. So the fastest way for you to afford a website and put 10 grand, 25 grand, 50 grand behind your website, plus traffic, plus infrastructure, plus content and everything that comes with it, is to get real comfortable selling to people. If you're willing to sit down and get MailChimp for free, or even using your business account and start emailing your customers and even people who are even remotely interested in your products, messaging people who are who like you on Facebook, messaging people who follow you on Twitter, and have conversations with them and start trying to sell to them, all of a sudden you'll start to think, okay, well, I've run out of leads. Let's build a website that generates me more leads, because I can do the sales part, or someone can do the sales part. The fastest way to afford the next stage of your business is to make sure that you've got customers willing to buy your current products. That's the golden rule. Without sales, nothing else happens in business.
Okay, you guys heard it from the man there. Listen, I have nothing else to say. That dude, Mike, I am flabbergasted. But do you have any key resources that you want to share, blog posts, videos, specifically that you want to check out? Links to them will be in the descriptions.
Yeah, I mean, for anyone in particular, who would you want to make recommendations to?
So we're talking to business owners in that state of mind, thinking that before they build their website, what do they need to be looking at, that content that you make?
Yeah, so I'm obviously going to choose the chance. So my book, From Single to Scale, which you can get on Kindle or whatever, genuinely was our business plan for getting us to the position where we could start spending 10 grand on marketing. It literally is my business plan. So there's a ton within that. And I think I've got on my podcast, the Sell Your Brand Show, I've got 6 episodes in there somewhere, that talk through that process as well, if you want a free taster version. So if you look for the Sell Your Brand Show, they're 6 special episodes you might have to scroll through that talk through how to scale your business, how to generate sales, how to make sure that you're not the one doing all the work. So those 2 are probably the best place for your audience to start.
All right, just check out the show notes for that, and they'll be inside the description. Mike, I want to thank you so much again for joining us here, man. Listen, we got to have you back in the future. My head is pounding with all this information that you just gave us, man.
I'd love to come back, man. No, I appreciate you asking me to come on.
All right, man. See you soon.